Alright, I'm gonna read off of something. And I don't know if you guys know about this website called 8Asians. It's really awesome. And whenever I look at something critically, if someone happens to be a big fan of this website or be a part of this website, I don't want them to feel like I am trying to say bad things about the people that write these articles or about the website in general, because I think it's great. But I have an opinion, and it doesn't always match up with the opinion of people who are on this website. So here's my little disclaimer. But they wrote this article recently. It's called "Who's Afraid of Being So Asian?" And this was very, very conveniently written because we had had a discussion earlier about this very subject, me and Sung. And I'm just going to go ahead and read you a few things, and Sung and I will discuss this. Okay. She starts out saying, "The other night I was at a dinner function of white folks and two lone Asians, another female and me. Tangent. And why is it whenever there are two lone Asian females in a group, the relationship will go one of two ways? Either the two immediately become BFFs, or the two look at each other uneasily as if the one is a threat to the other. No, quote, no bitch, I'm the token Asian tonight." Um, let's talk about that little piece. I think that's very interesting. That somebody would see another person of the same race and automatically think that way.
That situation is not specific to that situation is not really specific to Asians. It's just it has to do with any situation where you're a unique person in that group. Like it could be because you're Asian, it could be because you're white, it could be because you're a dwarf, or it could be because you're the tallest person there. As long as you're different from anybody else, and you have another person that's just like you in that big group of people, you get treated specially. Like, and whether it's negative or positively. And obviously, those two people could, like, make good friends or think of each other as a competition, depends on what the situation is. It's not just because this doesn't happen just because they're Asians. It's it's just silly.
Yeah, I think so. Uh, I don't know. I don't think that somebody should automatically have that in their mind though whenever they are in that situation. It'd be like I've been in groups before where some was with a bunch of Asian people and there was only one white chick there, and I didn't look at her like, "Oh, I gotta be your best friend," or "We're gonna hate each other," or "We're going to pick at how one of us isn't Asian enough or white enough," or it doesn't matter. I just look at that person and I'm like, well, in my mind, I register, yeah, that person's not Asian, so what? Get on with life. What's her personality like? What are the things she's interested in? Is she mean? Is she nice? Why does that have to matter? I mean, even if I lived in Korea and there's one white person in a group of Koreans, I wouldn't think, oh, well, hey, we're the minority here, so I gotta feel differently about myself. I don't care what other people think. Why is she so concerned about what other people think that she would feel that way? I don't know. Okay. And I know I'm gonna get heat for this, but next one. At a point in the conversation, my fellow Asian sister, whatever the hell that means, because she's not your sister, said something that I thought sounded very typical Asian. In a good way, too, mind you. I wonder how typical Asian in a bad way would be to her. So I gleefully exclaimed, "That's so Asian." Rather than laugh in acknowledgement, she looked horrified, glanced quickly at the white people seated around us. Oh no, she thought, what do they think now? She narrowed her eyes and glared at me with a "how could you" expression.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Sung elaborate on this.
There are basically two things to point out here. First of all, name calling. it doesn't matter if you're calling other person Asian, white, black, or any other names you can think of. Name calling is never pleasant. It's whether it's for a good reason or bad reason it's it's not pleasant. Like, can you think of any situation like where I call you, you're so white, and it makes you feel good about yourself?
No, I mean, for example, like a friend of mine one time, we were at a sushi restaurant, I think it was, and she was having trouble using her chopsticks. She was white, and she was really embarrassed, and she really wanted to eat this food, and she really wanted to try and not seem like she didn't know how to use chopsticks. So she was trying really hard, and then someone pushed a fork toward her and said, "Oh, you're so white." And of course that made her feel really shitty, and she's like, "Well, I don't want to eat this anymore." You know?
Yeah.
Of course that's going to make someone feel bad, even if you're like, "What? Why are you ashamed of being white? Are you ashamed of using a fork?" It's like, "No, I'm ashamed of you pointing out something that makes me uncomfortable."
And I don't like being called you're so Asian because I I have a second point I want to make later, but I don't like being called Asian because
Why you have
I
to
mean
point out the obvious? I mean,
yeah,
yeah, he's Asian. Yeah, he's so Asian. He can't get any more Asian. So what? It doesn't matter.
I do a lot of Asian things. They're close to Asian traits. I do a lot of American things, but I don't want to be called names.
Yeah.
First of all, second of all, like I came from Korea. I It took me a lot to learn English, and it took me a lot to learn American cultures and mix and be able to mix and mingle and hang out with my American friends. Um,
And his
so
Asian and his Korean and Asian friends.
so I don't I Yeah, when I say American, I'm not talking about just white people. I'm talking about people who are born here in America, people who grew up here, who live here in America. That's what I mean by
Yeah.
American people,
And
not
a lot
just
of
white.
them are Asian, so
Yeah, so like it took me a lot for me to be able to hang out with them and mingle with them, like and have conversations with them and stuff like that. So I don't want to be singled out and called out as a different person and be treated specially because I'm Asian or I'm so Asian. I don't want to be singled out like that in a big group. Um, being That being said, the girl. Here's my second point. The issue with this situation. The girl who got called so Asian. I think I don't know what first of all what she said that made her sound or look so Asian, but the fact that she got paranoid and looked around and to see if anybody else heard it. It was a little. I think it was a little overreacting. Like,
yeah. I would have been looking straight at the girl like, "Why don't you say that again?"
I mean,
Would you like to say that again to me?
I wouldn't even make a big like. I don't even like confront it. I'll just brush it off. It's not. It's not pleasant to me. But I'm not gonna just hang on to it and make that person feel bad about calling my name or calling me names or like just even acknowledge it. I'll just brush it off and move on to the next conversation.
That's why I love him so
So, I mean, I mean, since I don't know why she was called so Asian, so I can't blame her or I can't say anything bad about her for look. According to this article, she seemed to be embarrassed about being called so Asian. So
much. I'll elaborate on that a little bit more. And I think that this girl had been judged before the article, before she actually started talking to her, and I'll explain why I believe that is later on. All right.
and I guess also they're strangers to each other. Like just
Mhm.
because they're Asians, they're not like you can't call names like you can't call a stranger names like you just met this girl like you can't
She's
call.
not your sister, sweetheart. I know she's Asian, but you can't treat her like you're related to her. That's just not the way the world works, unfortunately. Just because I go up to another white person doesn't mean I can treat her like I've lived with her my entire life.
And
She's
say
not
stuff
she's
like you're
not your
so white.
sister. Yeah, she's not your sister. I'm sorry. Uh that's so stupid. Whenever somebody's like of the same race, they treat them, "Oh, I can treat him like my relative because we're a minority." It's like, "No, you don't know that person's personality or anything about them." Yeah, I know. So don't go there. That's rude and awkward. If someone came up to me and they're white and they're like, "Hey, you're my sister," I'd be like, "Go away from me." Um, and then she says that she goes on and says how APAs are still uncomfortable when people call attention to their Asianness, but Asians secretly are thrilled to be called whitewashed because it somehow indicates that they're less Asian. I don't know any Asian friends of mine who would be too thrilled if someone said they were whitewashed. They'd probably be very pissed off. Um, so, yeah, I don't think I know any Asian who would be thrilled to be called whitewashed. Maybe that's just the area that I grew up in, or the way people think, but that wouldn't be very, they wouldn't appreciate that very much. Okay, let's wrap it up. What the Asian female at the dinner function ended up reporting to my "That's so Asian" exclamation was some tisk tisk, let's not be racist response. That's not Asian or non-Asian. It's just how one particular individual happened to behave. You can't generalize. Bingo. I don't understand why that's so hard to understand. I mean, maybe that's just her way of saying something or her way of thinking about something. Just because it sounded Asian doesn't mean you have to point that out or you have to generalize, like, wow, what you said sounds so Asian. Why does that matter?
Maybe, maybe she said something that's kind of what other Asians would say, but that's not the reason why she said it. Maybe she just said it because she's just a person with an opinion that made her say it. I mean, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that I can say that sounds Asian, like to a lot of people, but for me, a lot of things that I say would be because I say it because I'm a person with an opinion, not because I'm so Asian, right?
Right. And it's
So,
not that so much that people get irritated that you remind them of their culture or that they're Asian or white when they say something. It's kind of irritating, like, you're just pointing out the obvious. It's not that it's a good thing or a bad thing. It'd be like, you know, you go up to someone and just point out, like, wow, son, your hair is so black, you know, or your eyes are so, like,
small.
no.
It's okay.
No, your eyes are so Asian looking. Oh my God, you know. It's kind of like, it's not negative. Or someone go up to me, wow, your eyes are so round. It's almost like I could smack the back of your head and they fall right out. What's keeping them inside of your
Well,
face?
that's a little negative. Like, okay,
Wow.
like
Yeah.
when it's not. Whenever you single something out and point something out and give it a name, it may sound a little when you're pointing out something good, it may sound good in the beginning, but if you keep calling it this over and over and over, if you keep pointing it out, it never stays
Yeah,
as something that
especially
sounds good. It becomes negative over time when you keep calling that name.
especially when you first meet someone too. You don't know that person. If you're like friends and you're, buddy buddy and you're joking around with each other, that's different. But, that person doesn't know what your intentions are. So of course they're going to feel a little hostile about it. And here's why I believe this girl was judged before she even got a chance to open her mouth. The girl who wrote this article goes on to say, and not that it should be relevant, and the fact that somebody has to say that before they continue on with what they're saying, most likely they're saying it because this is the way they feel. Not that it's supposed to be relevant, but her boyfriend, a rather effeminate looking white guy. Effeminate.
What's that?
Effeminate, like, somebody with, like, a preppy guy,
Oh,
effeminate. Sat to her side. This is true, he joined in. Can't stereotype. And anybody who's been on the 8Asian website, unfortunately, I have to give them this little criticism. They eat up stories about white men preying on poor, helpless little Asian girls in American society. They eat it up, and people are all over that crap. So I kind of get the flavor of a lot of the people who write articles on that website, I kind of understand. I kind of understand how they feel about this kind of thing. So I can only imagine how she would have felt coming in a situation where she's not comfortable, obviously, because she doesn't have other people that look like her, talk like her, walk like her, surrounding her. And I can see she's the kind of person where that would make her uncomfortable, which is unfortunate. Um, I don't know. I just have a very sneaky suspicion that this had a lot to do with her actions toward this girl for the rest of the night. And that's not cool with me. And then the article goes on to talk about how my computer is stupid. The article goes on to talk about how Asian girls try to look white in Asia and all this stuff, and how, us Asians shouldn't feel bad to act Asian around white people, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't try to act a certain way just to piss someone off, or, be like, yeah, I can act this way, and, screw you, stick this in your face. Just be who you want to be. If that is Asian, then do it. You don't have to rub it in other people's face. Hey, look what I'm doing. Guess what? I'm being really Asian. It's like, just do what you're saying. You don't have to point out how Asian you are. Obviously, people can see that. It's like, Song, wow, you use your chopsticks so well. You're really Asian. Congratulations. Or Song is, so what? Why do you have to point it out? Congratulations. Wow, Emily, you're sure enjoying that hamburger. You're a fat-ass American. That's right. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So,
Let's wrap it up,
yeah.
girl.
I don't know. I could go on and on about this. But, fortunately for you guys, I'm about to stop. So, peace out.
Love you.
Yeah.